I'm curious if there's any deals today. Hey, look, you could pay $62 for this pile of junk and make the B-Tech company rich. Yeah, it's just absolutely nuts. What do we got? Why would I want to look up $3,000 worth of radio? All discounts. Okay. There really hasn't been a lot of crap on here lately. I've also noticed on Amazon I can't order anything without it being almost a week out. But everybody in Washington and California can get it next day. But in Arizona, we can't get it anytime soon. And we're an hour and a half from Phoenix, only north from there. I haven't checked like other things to see, well, how much time would it take to get something if you were in Flagstaff. But anyway, it seems that they're either having an issue, there's a strike, or something, because it wasn't like this a while ago. There's the tri-band on a Lightning deal. I don't see how that's really a great deal. I'd like to see some deals on some of these mobile radios. I mean, like, how many handhelds do we really need, you know? Mobile radios are always better, especially if they're 50 watts. But what I found is a lot of these are not 50 watts. They're like 25 watts or something else. Let's see, what does this one say? It doesn't even say what it is in the main title, which means it's probably low power. Let's see. Man. Yeah, it doesn't even list it anywhere, but somebody said 25 watts right here. Why would you buy a $100 radio that only does 25 watts? I was going to mention, if you see these radios sold like this on here, a lot of them are locked. This one is a little bit different because it says multi-band. This one says airband. This is a limited time deal. I don't know if this one's locked or not. This is one of their new ones. I don't know if it's firmware different or hardware different. I think it would be really nice if we could flash firmware on these, but I don't think you can. I think they have it pretty much locked. But yeah, I think this was 31, but I don't know if the airband's any good on it. You could read the reviews. There's 45 reviews. Might be interesting to try. Okay, and then we have this one here. And I believe this is going to be the one from the seller. And that has, we see the differences on these. Your first cue is they show 220 megahertz on the scope. And also they say frequency copy. And it's tagged to the antenna. It's a tri-band antenna. And this one, when I ordered it last year, it was unlocked. And they will have the same one in green and black. And the black one's usually cheaper because it doesn't come with the other antenna. So these are the only ones that I know for sure from this seller that were unlocked. If you buy any of the other ones, you're gambling. I don't know that any of the other ones are unlocked. A whole ton of them are definitely locked. What in the hell is this? See some goofy rainbow light at the top. Max Talker. Well, this looks suspiciously like some other type of radio in another case. It's interesting though, it does have the knob at the top. Anyway, there's too many variations of different things out there. And Lots of junk. I really don't understand why they charge so much for these little watt meters. Okay, so we're going to look up Xiegu. So, yeah, these things should be selling pretty quickly, considering that I haven't really checked any information on it lately. Oh, they went back up in their price. This was $490 for a little while. Maybe that was during the Amazon deals. It might have been. They had that one. Definitely, they've bumped their prices back up. G90 is back up in price, I think. I don't know anything about this radio, but I've seen a couple of videos. It looks like it could be okay. It was $199 during Prime days. So their amplifier is as much as their damn radios. And so, if you want to buy, oh, there it is right here, $490. It's the cheapest it's ever been, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, if you were to buy that radio plus that amplifier, you're now basically you're the price of a 710, 7300. You know. And yes, you do have 100 watts, but unless you have a purpose to split things up like that, I think it's counterintuitive. But you know, that's just me. So $490. Let's see, who is it being sold by? Probably Ham Club. Ham Club. I don't know who they are. So usually they'll offer it cheaper for a little bit longer, and then Radioddity will bump their prices up. Ham Club and Radioddity seem to sell the exact same items. By the way, this speaker is just stupid crap. There's no reason to buy it. So when I bought my other one, it came as a bundle for $545 with the speaker. And as soon as I had it for a little while, I returned the speaker, which effectively, at first it didn't seem like it would let me return the speaker, but it effectively gave me back like $36. So that was cool. This radio, why is it still $545? I mean, I don't even know how old that one is. And that one only does 5 watts no matter what, I think. Although some people, I think, said it's better. I definitely really like the display on the 6100. I had went around with Radioddity about the birdies and this and that, and you know, they were really nice about like communication, you know, but no solution. They're more than happy to, you know, message you and, you know, offer suggestions and solutions, and they will if you want to mail the radio back, they will send you another one with the same problems, I would imagine. And they did offer to give me my money back on the radio if I wanted to send it back to them outside of the 30-day thing. So I definitely try to go out of my way to order from them if there's something that they have I need, because they've been pretty responsive when it comes to stuff like that. But nobody's addressing the issues with these radios because Xiegu isn't going to fix the issues. So you either accept the radio for its faults and flaws and just go ahead and buy it because it's really the best alternative at the price, you know, for what you get, or you go ahead and spend, you know, like almost triple the money for a 705, and you know, you're good. So it just depends on how you want to do it. God, I can't believe this radio costs that much. It's such a horrible display too. So anyway, yeah, $490 for one of those from that Ham Club vendor. That's a pretty good price. Radioddity was selling it for the same price also, but not no more. So anyway, also don't waste your time with these. You know, they go on the side and they have really, really tiny screws. And unless you just want it for looks or just to like have something to grab onto, it's not going to protect the radio. So All right, so this is probably the best one to buy. I think they're on the list of approved vendors. $59 with 10% coupon on the Arusonic Nano VNA latest version, blah, blah, blah. This is the one I have. I've had it for a couple of years now. They haven't really made any improvements, as far as I know, to the basic one. I haven't seen any hardware changes. You can find this various other ones might have the same hardware, might not. For a few bucks less or more. Here's one for $52 with 5% off. There's definitely some deals on these. I really don't know if there's like an advantage to any of them, really, unless you just want like a larger screen like these ones, which would definitely be nice. But, you know, it's not like a big deal. But these are just really great for antenna work and stuff like that. The only one I would say to avoid is this one, because it has kind of an open, semi-open case, and the jog wheel sticks out kind of far, and it's subject to be getting broken off. So I don't think it's a good choice. We have a $45 one. That's pretty much like cheapest one I've seen. So that's pretty cool. And the other thing that I really like, I haven't had a lot of time to use mine, but the Tiny SA, here's a $89 one with a coupon. So what is that? 77-ish. 89, yeah. That's not exactly the best deal I've seen. Okay, $58. I think this is probably the one. Well, there's some other name in here. Car gas. I don't know. $58. Yeah, I don't know which one I bought. Mine was like $58, $59, but you got a couple different ones to choose from. You can also get the Ultra, which means that you can actually listen to the radio through it, but the prices are going to be a lot more. So it's a 4-inch screen. I think the other ones are like 2.8-inch screen. So a lot of people really suggest this one over the other one. I really don't know. One thing that is certainly an issue if you're looking at spurs is if like you're on the high and low port is what they call it, and you want to look at spurs and see if you're putting out spurs on UHF when you're transmitting on VHF. I don't think that the smaller one can do that, because it has to be hooked to the high port versus the low port, or etc. Anyway, so if you're testing to see stuff like that, you won't be able to do that on the small one, because I think the low port just goes from like 200 megahertz or something like that. $52 is the, that's the Nano VNA. They always group them together. Anyway, those are really good tools to have for ham radio for sure. See if I can find the one. I'm constantly having to tell the kids to be quiet. They're in the bedroom playing with Legos and just talking at the top of their lungs. So if you hear them in the background, I apologize. Anyway, so I wonder if it says VHF is 0.1 to 350. So you can look at 0.1 to 350, I think. And then any spurs that would be outside of there, which totally could be possible, wouldn't show up because you have to be on the other port to look at 240 to 960. So that's kind of a downfall. And I don't know if that's not an issue on the large one, but, Anyway. So my other picks that I like on here that I recommend would be particular meters. I don't know if I could find a couple of them to recommend right off the top. If you've got the money, you can buy a Fluke 15B, but it's not an RMS meter as far as I'm concerned, or remember. There are other Fluke meters that you can buy if you must have the Fluke name. You can buy the 101 basic for $48. You can buy the Fluke 17B for $147. I don't know if that's RMS or not. They're good meters. RMS is just kind of like, I don't know if it's really all that important for most of what people do. Might be a little more critical on certain things. This was a good deal. It was $23, and it had a 15% off coupon and pretty good reviews, 4.6 reviews. So this is definitely an okay meter. It's 6,000 counts. So this one is one that I do like. I haven't tried it, but the one that I've tried is further down here. And it's right here. They've apparently changed the price again. Or no, it's just not showing because it says here for Prime. So $17 for this one. And this is a copy of a Fluke 17B. And that's why it's called an 18B. And these are definitely a big bang for the dollar. They're very accurate. They're very well made. They have a nice feel to them, a positive click on the thing, no slop in between the positions. Just a really nice meter. This company has a couple different meters. This one has the non-contact voltage, which I could care less about. There is another version of this meter called the 19B, and that instead has temperature sensor. They also have a high performance model of this, basically, which I'm just kind of lurking, waiting for it to go on sale again. It's just staying at $39, unfortunately. This meter is also offered in red, but the one that I'm looking for is this one here, which has a little bit more on it, and it's a 20,000 count meter, which is huge. That's the 18Z3. And that one has everything. You've got AC voltage and DC voltage separated, which is really important. And I can't stress this enough. These meters that combine both of those, if you're working in the automotive industry and you're checking an alternator and you're looking for AC ripple on the output of the alternator, you will not be able to see it with a meter that does automatic AC and DC detection, because it won't understand what the hell's going on. You need to be able to force the meter into AC mode and read the DC output of the alternator to be able to see that there's ripple on it, because the diodes are leaking or crappy. And so do not buy a meter that has automatic everything. You're just like asking for trouble. So, I mean, this is an auto-ranging meter, but it's not automatically deciding of what it's looking at, if it's AC or DC. You don't want the meter to decide that for you. So you have AC, you have DC, you have temperature, and I don't know what the, and I guess it looks like also millivolts, and that is apparently AC and DC selection, which I don't care for. This one is diodes and continuity, ohms and capacitance. And then this one would be frequency and hertz and duty cycle. This would be amperage. And of course, they've combined the two. You can tell they've combined the two because you see a sine wave above a DC symbol. And that's not good. I don't like that. But that's kind of how a lot of them are nowadays. If we look at our cheaper meter, I don't know if it does that or not for the amperage. I generally don't use these type of meters to read amperage. So it's got the same setup. AC voltage, DC voltage, AC and DC for microvolts or millivolts or whatever it is, millivolts, yeah. Same thing with the current. And I really don't care for that. But you got to realize that this is a $17 meter, and that even the Flukes are probably going to have similar setup. Let me see if we can find one of the other ones. Now, there's lots of meters that you can buy on here. You could buy a Klein. You know, they're not really probably the company that makes them, but they have a popular name and people like them. Here is a 17B plus Fluke meter. This is definitely very similar to what we were just looking at. And you'll see why here in a second when I get to the knob, as soon as it shows it a little closer. Come on. Okay, so we got volts AC, volts DC, millivolts AC and DC, the same setting here. We have a separate setting for capacitance, but you see how they've combined the amps with both AC and DC. So this is very similar type of meter. And then you have your temperature, and then everything is laid out basically the same. The case and all that is going to look very similar. I don't believe that they give you a side profile, but guaranteed, just trust me, they're made in the same shape as the other meter. I don't know if this is true RMS or not. Usually, if it's not labeled, it's probably not. The main thing that I pay attention to in the meters is how many counts are they. And what's interesting is that Fluke doesn't really like to advertise how many counts they are, but that's going to be the resolution of the meter. So, like when we see like a 6,000 count meter, that means that this meter, depending on the voltage you're reading, it's kind of a confusing number, but it means that the meter will read up to like 6 volts before it cuts off those other 2 digits. So it would read basically in most cases 6.000 volts, and it has to be under that 6. So it'd be like 5.99, and sometimes the last 2 digits will be the last digit might not even be increments of 1. It might be 5 or whatever, a 1 or a 9. They do really weird crap on some of these meters. But so what that means is if that 6,000 resolution, it's only going to read 3 digits after the volt, the solid number, under 6 volts. Okay. Now, if that was 9,000 count, it'd read up to about 8 before it dropped off the other digit. Okay. And then if it was, a 20,000 count, it would read up to about 19 volts, and it would read like 19.000. And so then if you had like a 50,000 count meter, it would read up to 49 volts, 0.000. So once you get up to AC voltage, it's just going to read 120.00, or a lot of meters that just read 120.0. And there's certain things that are different between one meter or another. So like some of the 6,000 count meters might read 120.00, or they might read 120.0. It just depends. So not all of the counts are exactly the same. But usually at a low voltage underneath the count number, they're going to be pretty similar. But Fluke doesn't really like to advertise what their stuff is on Amazon, and you'll have to go on their website and really dig around and dig deep. But they're extremely reliable, robust meters, and you definitely get a lot of quality. However, they almost all are made in China. So having said that, does it really matter what meter you buy? I mean, I don't really think so, because at that point you're buying a Chinese meter and you're paying for the name and their quality control, and you're not going to really get their warranty so much on Amazon, I don't think. It's like I don't know. I just don't see a huge advantage in buying a Fluke meter for the everyday person who is not working in a professional environment. So, obviously don't buy some of these stupid meters that look like this. I think that's kind of common sense that these look extremely cheap. Although, not everybody has common sense. I told my friend to buy the one particular meter, and I think he bought one extremely similar to some crap that looks like this, and he loves it. But he doesn't know any better. And all he wanted to do was measure the voltage out of his outlet to see if, it's at 120 volts or whatever. So anyway, there's lots of meters on here. X-Tech is a really good brand. They cost a little bit more money, but they're definitely made a little better. There are plenty of really good Chinese-made multimeters on here, and there are plenty of really, really bad ones. And a lot of times you can just look at them and spot the quality. It's really obvious on some of them. But, look at the reviews, read the reviews. And remember that some people are just idiots anyways, so you have to take the reviews with a grain of salt. Obviously, do not go buy one of these stupid Harbor Freight meters for $8. That's really dumb. Try to avoid any of the meters that have a ton of selections on them because they're not auto-ranging. And auto-ranging meters are very nice to have. And sometimes with these other meters, maybe they're okay, but if you're not in the right range and you go to try and use the meter, you don't know what the voltage is you're looking at, it just makes things more complicated. So, and these are cheap enough that you can buy more than one meter. Here's an example of a meter that I do not like, I don't approve of, and it's a copy kind of a shape of sort of the Fluke type meters, and this is an example of what they do on a lot of the new meters, if I can get to show up in here. They combined this other thing. Plus, what in the hell do you need Bluetooth for on a meter to look at the meter on your phone? Unless you have the meter up in a cabinet and you're remotely monitoring it on your phone. If you see here, they have the voltage combined. You have AC and DC on one. That's just junk. And then they have an auto. So anyway, I don't like those, and they're kind of overpriced in my opinion. So there's lots of other stuff on here. There's some meters that are rated at like 60,000 count. You have to kind of dig around to find them. There's also these meters, which actually are incredibly good. And they have a basic oscilloscope on them that works pretty well. And this particular one is 50 megahertz and is actually 2-channel, but it has a signal generator on it that's absolutely worthless because it only goes up to like 1 kilohertz or something like that. But these are really good meters. My friend has one, and he did actually plug his into an outlet while he had the probes plugged into the other thing, and it did blow it up. So keep that in mind. You cannot go plug your meter in to AC source when it's on the amps. The other guy that I was talking about, David, he plugged his meter into an outlet and blew it up because he didn't understand where to put the probes. There's big exclamation points right here. They do say fused, but apparently, sometimes that's not enough. So usually in most cases where it says COM, the COM is going to be the negative. I mean, that's why these other ones are red, which is really nice. They have them marked out like that. So that's going to be your ground, and that's going to be your voltage. But if you accidentally plug one of these other ones in and plug this stupid thing into an outlet to just test a thing, you're probably going to blow it up. So anyway, that's my rant for Amazon stuff. I really... I don't see any amazing deals or anything, but anyway, the only other thing I could think of is the batteries for a portable ham radio. So it's been my experience that you can usually run an HF radio on quite a bit less than 20 amps on single sideband or anything really. And these batteries, even if they're only rated at 10 amp hours, can provide a surge of usually triple that. So, based on my experiences of operating portable, I have been able to get away with a battery as small as 6 or 7 amp hours, but I prefer to use a 10 or larger because basically it's kind of negligible. But here is a battery that you could pick up pretty cheaply. It's a 6 amp hour battery. I don't like the tabs. Generally speaking, you'll probably want to take these and go ahead and solder your wires to it so that you don't have any voltage drop. I like to find the batteries that actually have the terminals on them. And usually that means that you're going to be buying a more expensive 20 amp hour type of battery. This is a really good deal right here. In these class of batteries, I haven't really found that there is much of a difference between one or another, because there's only so much faking they can do on a 6 amp hour battery. So when you start getting into the larger batteries like this, that they might actually disguise what's really inside of the battery, and have, you think that, oh, I bought a 24 amp hour. No, you bought a 15. No, you bought a 10. I did a video where I opened up one of the batteries, and it was in this format, but it was rated 15 amp hours. I just thought it was suspicious, and it looked like it was swollen. And I got Amazon to warranty it and let me keep it, because it looked like it was swollen, and they warrantied it and replaced it, so I had no qualms about opening the other one up. And when I opened it up, I found out that half of the battery was empty. There was just a piece of foam in there supporting the other battery, the half of the battery in there up against the container, and that's why it looked swollen. So you do need to be aware of stuff like that. They're mostly showing us the big stuff. So I have the battery like this that was on sale. Not particularly that one. Mine has like some kind of blue label on it. And it was really, really cheap, like under $20, I believe. So with the batteries on here, if you just pay attention and wait, there'll be a sale. I mean, here's a 6 amp hour for 19, and you can totally run your radio on that. Definitely if you're going to run half power, and definitely if you're going to go QRP or whatever, that's not going to be a problem. Not even a little bit. I ran the Yaesu 891, the FT450, all of them I ran on that battery. Like I said, I did have to make sure that the wires were soldered because the connections weren't really fitting tight, and that was causing an issue. But once I soldered the wires on there, all the problems went away. There's a 7 amp hour. So, but anyway, you just got to keep looking on here, and eventually you'll see a really good deal. And, I mean, either way, even if you don't get a really good deal on here, it's still a lot cheaper than going to some place like Ham Radio Outlet and paying for a Bioenno battery, which isn't any different. It just maybe have a little charging thing on it. And these batteries all have a BMS in them, so you don't need to concern yourself with what type of charger you're using for the most part. The BMS will protect the battery for under or over voltage. It'll shut itself off if it goes too low. You just charge it with a little float charger. You don't need anything complicated. I charge mine with a battery tender usually, or if I really don't want to waste electricity, I'll hook it up to my 24 volt solar system, and I'll put a set of jumper cables on one of the 12 volt batteries. So I have a battery that looks like this, and it's a 6 amp hour, and it was like $19 when it was on sale. It was that same brand, and I really do enjoy it. I'm pretty sure though that some of these other batteries are the same ones, and some of them will say 6 amp hour, some will say 5. They're all going to be relatively the same, but in the package with my 6 amp hour battery, I think it said that the battery was rated for a surge up to like 15 or 20 amp hours instantaneous. When you're talking on single sideband, on most HF radios, you're not going to see more than 12 to 14 amps draw on voice peaks. Now, if you take that radio and you key down CW, yeah, you're going to pull 20 amps. But technically speaking, these batteries, there's a $20 one, will provide that. Now, if you just go ahead and go buy a 20 amp hour and don't buy one like this, if it's 20 amp hour and it has tabs on it, that is suspicious. 20 amp hour should always have screws, okay? Okay, so here's the 20 amp hour batteries, and even if you paid $50 for a 20 amp hour battery, I don't even know what it is on HRO's website. Hold on. See, the eject, the price is back up, $944.99 for the 710. It's on sale. It's not really on sale. That's the lowest I've seen the 891 in a long time. 629. But anyway, it was something we came here to look at. Okay, batteries. Yeah, batteries. So they sell the Bioenno batteries a lot on here. I don't know anything about these other ones. Okay, Bioenno. We can look right here. I can show you. There's a 10 amp hour battery. It's $179. A 2 amp hour DC to something charger. It'd be nice if I could just actually see the batteries. So for a 20 amp hour Bioenno battery, or even a 6, here's a 6 amp hour. We'll just pull that one up first. Okay. They want $79 for a 6 amp hour battery. And it's just got these goofy little cables. The battery is kind of heat shrinked. And, you know, they've put some Anderson power poles on there for you. Big frickin' deal. It's a lithium iron phosphate battery. And it might come with this charger for this. But it's just a wall wart that's putting out 12, 13 volts. Okay, so here we got the 20 amp hour battery. This is probably the one most hams buy because they think they need 20 amp hours. 20 amp hours doesn't mean it's a 20 amp battery. It means that the battery can supply 5 amps for 4 hours. That's a 20 amp hour battery. Anyway, okay, so $189. That's a lot of money for that battery. So that's my point. So you're going to pay $50 for one on here. You're going to have terminals, and you can set it up however you want to set it up. You don't have some heat shrink wrapped crap on the battery. But you can get these for less than $50 when you wait. I mean, trust me, they do pop up for less than $50. But almost all of them are going to be a lot less than a Bioenno battery. And you get that one I would avoid. See the tabs on it? Don't buy a battery with tabs that's rated 20 amp hours. Okay, $46. You know, there are deals on them, but anything is a deal compared to a Bioenno. So I think that's about it for me, guys. I don't think there's anything else I wanted to touch on about ham radio and hobby related stuff on Amazon.